and welcome to the Girls Are Investors podcast. I am Eloise, and today you are listening to our International Women's Day episode. This special episode centres around Giving to Gain, the official International Women's Day theme for 2026. Today we are going to reflect and bring together the best insights from previous podcast guests who have kindly shared their honest reflections, career tips, and lessons they wish they had known earlier. From giving their time, sharing their experience, and providing real-world advice, our students have gained invaluable knowledge to take into their careers. Let's jump straight in. We're going back to 2023 when we were joined by Sarah Mitchell, who shared her amazing career journey and how varied the industry can be. Let's take a listen.
When I graduated, I started on the grad scheme at PricewaterhouseCoopers, so the chartered accountancy, kind of 3-year stream there. Very much because I probably hadn't done enough research at university. I knew I wanted to go into finance, wasn't particularly sure which bit, and that seemed like a very kind of broad-based way to get to know the city and understand finance and businesses in general. Loved it, really loved it. But I'd say I identified about halfway through that I wasn't going to stick around long term. Wanted to move into the investment management side of the city. It interested me. I'd spoken to a few people within that side of the business at PwC. So I initially thought that I was going to do the kind of tried and tested stream of PwC into sell side equity research and then eventually into the buy side. Took a career break to go travelling for 3 months at the end of when I qualified, with a view to giving myself a few weeks at the end to look for jobs before going back to PwC. But unfortunately, that was 2008, mid financial crisis kicking off. So slight pivot. I was offered a job at Best Stearns, and then that folded kind of mid-offer process. I was in the kind of final stages for equity research at Lehman's. So I then kind of pivoted and took a job as a referral from an ex-PwC colleague working for the Royal Bank of Scotland, which is now NatWest, in their credit analysis team. And it was joining a number of people I used to work with at PwC. So I guess it was kind of circumstances dictated the move then. Stayed there for 3 years. It was very interesting. But again, RBS didn't prove to be the safest call in the financial crisis. So after a couple of years there and government bailout, kind of career prospects in the investment bank started narrowing pretty significantly. So I started looking outside and took up the kind of move into investment management idea again. Did what many people do and started sitting my CFA to show kind of intent to help me get in the door. Interviewed at Mondrian and then made the move across, and that's been me for the last 12 years.
What a great episode this was. I am just resonating with Sarah's point about the vast opportunities in the investment management industry. I think it is so important for anyone who is in the process of making early career decisions to know that you are not expected to decide on what your career path will be straight out of university or school. It is impossible to fully understand each job role within your chosen industry. I have never worked in investment management myself, but during my earlier roles, I carved out time with different colleagues to learn what they did, what skills they needed, and it helped paint a clear picture of what was out there for me and my potential career path. Let's move on to the second clip of the episode. One of our trustees, Anne-Marie Flaby, was joined by Lottie Meggett, where Lottie shared her experience on going from having zero knowledge to becoming an investment analyst. Let's take a listen.
It's safe to say I knew nothing about investment management. And actually at the time I was adamant that I was going to be a journalist. I was a news junkie. I particularly loved kind of books about financial scandals. So absolutely everything by Michael Lewis I completely devoured. The Enron story, that type of thing. So I really like the idea of being a business journalist. But I did an internship in my penultimate year at university, and that kind of dispelled me of the glamour of that career. And it made me start to think more broadly about like what other opportunities could be out there. So I finished my first 3 years at Cambridge, and I just applied to do a fourth year. And it just so happened that the sponsor of the University Rowing Club at the time, Newton Investment Management, was looking for a grad to join its marketing team as a investment writing specialist. So that would involve preparing fund commentaries, writing thought pieces, podcasts, all kinds of other materials all about investing. So I went for that role. I did not expect to get it at all, but I remember really enjoying the interviews and the people I met there, and was lucky enough to get the job. And I thought about doing another year at university, but I thought actually this would be great training to be a journalist. I can go and be an insider and learn about the industry. So when I go and do that part of my career, it'd be excellent training. So I spent my first few years at Newton in that team. It was called Investment Communications, and I absolutely loved it. And in hindsight, it was the best first job possible, really. And that's because in that type of role, I got to meet everyone and work with everyone from across the business. So I saw equities, I saw fixed income, I saw global, I saw emerging markets, I saw portfolio management roles and research roles. So it was really good for kind of getting me started and thinking like what role would be right for me within this.
I loved this episode because it demonstrates that the industry is open to people from all different backgrounds and educational profiles. The wonderful thing about Gain is that whether you have a degree in finance, art, history, or English, there is something for you to get your investment career started. Before we move on to our final clip, we wanted to say a massive congratulations to our Empower Investment Internship Programme students who have been receiving their offers over the last few weeks. Our final clip of the episode may be helpful to those taking part in our programme, as our guest Faye Bowden shared top tips for making the most out of your internship. We hope you enjoy.
Once they've settled in and they're in the swing of things, maybe they've started on their project, enjoyed a couple of meetings, how can the interns impress with their work?
So I feel it's people that are curious, and I know that's a word that's being overused at the moment, but I do think it is somebody that's curious to learn more. They're not just doing the basics, but they're asking and showing initiative to do more. When they finish work, they're asking for more, or they're being proactive in networking with other teams and going and having meetings, following up on meetings. So I would say to shine out is people that actually are asking questions or participating. We organise quite a lot of insight sessions. So the feedback we've had in the past is it's really lovely when our interns do ask questions and are engaged in those sessions, because people are giving up their time to come and spend, with the interns. So if they make that more interactive and ask questions, I think that's noticed, and they'll get more out of it as well, which I think is important.
As Faye said in that clip, make sure that you ask the follow-up questions. Reflecting on my own internships, at the start I would put a lot of pressure on myself to know everything all at once, and I wanted to demonstrate that I knew things. However, I didn't, and that's okay to admit. You'll never walk into a job knowing everything about a company or that industry, but never be embarrassed to not know something. It is better to be inquisitive and show your employers your willingness to learn. Remember, internships are normally for a short period of time, so make sure that you are taking every opportunity to learn and build your understanding. We want to say a massive thank you to our previous guests for giving to Gain, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in to the International Women's Day podcast episode. If you would like to know more about how Gain can support your investment management career, head to our website at www.gainuk.org, or you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at gainuk_org. See you next time.